Okay, you guys want me to talk about election stuff. I know you do. You want to get my goat. You want to rib me. You want to tease me. You want to get under my skin. Um, so I'm going to give in to y'all one last time. And this is it. I'm not going to talk about this shit anymore ever again, regardless of what happens, um, regardless of who wins. I'm not going to return to this subject unless I feel like it, which I probably won't. But I don't want to just totally lock that door on myself. I don't want to lock myself in and throw away the key, just in case I might want to get out. Again, that's not the best metaphor to use. But I mean, I give myself permission to talk about it again if I feel like it. I don't. It's chances are that 98% that I won't feel like it, because I think it's just a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of emotion. It's something that it's just the soap opera that we let consume us. And it used to be just a national soap opera. Now it's a worldwide soap opera. Now you can't even get away from it. You can't go to like Bimini or I don't know, some other, or Easter Island or some other remote spot, and the natives there will probably be saying, "Hey, what do you think about the U.S. election? Who will win? Who do you think win?" And they'll probably be on their phones and everything, following the results, which I won't be doing. I'm not going to pay any attention to the results. I'm tuning out. Because because I want to. And I would suggest that for you as well. I would suggest tuning out. So let me just get everything what I have to say out here in one epic video. Take just a sip of nice southern tea. My throat is so parched. All right. First thing I should say, this just strikes me about the way things are right now, that there's something inherently unstable about a system in which you have this winner take all kind of thing going on, when the electorate is split right down the middle, like just about half and half. So whoever wins, half of the country is going to be mad, half the country is going to be happy, and most of the joy will come from Schadenfreude, which isn't true joy, which is tainted joy, just in in its very nature. Most of the joy will be Schadenfreude because things aren't really going to change, but the team that's in control is going to be one side or the other, and the one side will be, it's like this win. It's like will be the side that gets slightly more of an edge, or because I think things are probably rigged. Just get that this is the side that they decide they want to have lead the nation now, because I don't think a president actually leads anything. But anyway, so isn't there something unwise about that? Just looking at it in a and making it a practical matter, right? If you want to stabilize your society, and that half of your society, that you've got a fiercely divided electorate, split almost down the middle. Even if it wasn't right down the middle, even if you had one side slightly bigger than the other, but the other side, but still almost half and half. That's still inherently divided. So there's something really about, that whoever wins gets the same kind of spoils as somebody who wins by a landslide. Isn't there something that just seems like a recipe for trouble? And it wasn't really trouble in the past. It was only, not when I was growing up, because I just would remember presidential elections being just basically a fait accompli. Everybody knew what was going to happen before the votes were actually counted. It was clear who was going to win and who wasn't. I know there were some squeakers, but I wasn't here for 1960, and I wasn't here for Rutherford B. Hayes versus whoever his opponent was. So I'm just saying, I'm just talking in general here. Isn't there something inherently unstable about that kind of situation? Because you're going to have one side feeling energized, feeling their oats, feeling like they are the nation, and the other side feeling disenfranchised, feeling angry, feeling like they're like they don't count. And I'm just saying, again, this is just a practical matter. I'm not even talking about the issues now. I'm not even talking about the morality of this issue or that issue. I'm throwing all that out the window and saying, if you wanted to have a stable society, which we don't, which we obviously don't, but this just seems to aggravate things. This just seems to make things worse. And I don't know what can be done about it, but maybe if there was a system maybe if it was more like a parliamentary system, where if one party won 30% of the vote, then they would be represented heavily for, but they get 30% of representation, and they'd have to form a coalition with some other party. That's the way it works in most parliamentary systems, as I understand it. That just seems so much more of a stable. There seems to be so much more stabilizing about that than having two parties and having the electorate split right down the middle between those two parties. So that is my first thought. That's just a completely abstract thought. So, moving on, thought number 2. Since I do believe that things are very likely rigged, and the electorate doesn't actually decide anything, that means that if I'm right about that means that whoever wins is the one that those who are powerful have decided, those with the power and clout have decided to go with. And maybe there's probably different factions of them, but one of the factions, or a coalition of these factions who actually control the elections or the election decisions, will prevail. because a certain consensus has been reached. So we're going to have a scenario where, okay, if Trump is allowed to win, I mean, I think if it were just up to the electorate, it seems to me that he would win. I don't know that for sure, but it's my impression. With the electoral system, not if it was a majority rules. Whoever gets the majority of the votes wins. But with the electoral college, it seems to me that if there were an absence of rigging, he would be the one who would actually naturalistically win. So if he wins, if he's allowed to win, or if he's decided to win, then then of course the left won't be happy, and there will be a lot of anger and division, and maybe some of the same kind of stuff that we saw in 2016. Although I just get the feeling things are much more muted now. So I don't think people are as excited or as up in arms now. I think people are just tired and want to get on with their lives, and are tired of culture wars, and want all this crap to be over with. But it never ends, of course. But that's what they want. So I think if they decide to let Trump win, then that will mean that they want the people who are feeling extremely alienated from the system right now, which is a lot of young men, a lot of men in general, not just white men, but a lot of white men, a lot of young men. Young men are alienated from the system today. I think that's been adequately shown. And young men are much more likely to be right-leaning than they ever were in the past. That's been shown, I think, somewhat exhaustively. And I think that if they let Trump win, it's like sort of saying, okay, now we can get this part of the electorate back. We can get these people who are alienated right now, who just think they're not represented at all, who think that they're absolutely hated and loathed by the system. The system doesn't care if they live or die, or maybe wants them to die. Now, because we'll say, hey, well, now Trump's the president, so now you can get on board with the system, and so that will be the idea, to get culturally conservative types, to get people who, and it's not just men, it's not just young men, it's everybody who is culturally conservative, everybody who just doesn't like the way things have been headed over the last 10 or 20 years. And don't feel like anybody cares. Like feel as though their ideas, their thoughts, or their notions of right and wrong are just scoffed at and dismissed out of hand, and their concerns are just laughed at, and so forth. There's a real problem right now. There's a real problem, and people emphasize men, and there's been a big push to try to get men to vote for the Democrat, because the Democrats realize, oh shit, this is really serious. So they've tried their damnedest to pander to men, including men, telling young men the Republicans are going to take your pornography away. They actually did that. It still can't. I mean, it's like something out of Idiocracy. It's so hard to tell, what's real from what's just. Life is just satirical right now. Politics is just satirical. It's just like it's like we're watching Idiocracy or what was it? Wag the Dog, or whatever, something like that, some kind of farcical thing, presentation or story like that. I mean, whew, it's wild, and not in a good way, not in an enjoyable way. Maybe if it were something that you were just studying. I think if you were studying 2024 in a history class, you'd be like, wow, that was quite a wild time. That must have been a heck of a time to be alive. But you're living through 2024 and you're thinking, man, I wish I weren't living in 2024. More than likely. So if they let Trump win, I don't think it'll be. I think it will be the prudent, the faction that says, hey, we've got to be prudent about things. We're losing a lot of people. This is going to get dangerous. This is going to get dicey unless we show these people that we take their concerns seriously. And if Trump loses, if he loses, I put quotes around win and lose both, because again, I think everything is pretty much rigged. But if the decision is that he's not to be the president, then you've lost a lot of people just irrevocably. You've basically got effectively a fifth column in your nation. You've got people who feel that they are hated, loathed, and despised, and like there's nothing in this for them, and they have very little to lose, and they've been cheated again. First in 2020, now again the system has been rigged against them. That will be the perception. I think it'll be the reality, but again, I don't know for sure. That's just my speculation. That's my that's how I tend to view things. I don't have, of course, a full godlike analysis of what actually is going on, but that's what I think is going on. So whatever, but even if that's not true, even if Trump actually loses because not because of rigging, which, can you really say that after they tried to kill him twice, and they tried to impeach him twice, and they tried to throw him in jail over some stupid crap. Like they've gone after this guy again and again and again and again in every conceivable way. You don't even have to like him. This isn't even. I don't particularly like Trump. But it's just, I've never been an advocate. I've never said, oh, Trump's such a great guy or anything like that, or that I admire him, or even that I think he's for real or anything like that. You search my record. I am not a Trump supporter, although people who see people on the left will say, oh well, yeah, he's a Trump supporter, whether he whether he admits it or not, and they're just going to think that regardless. But I think you don't have to agree with him in any way to see, God, look at all the things that the system has thrown at this guy. So how could, after all that, how could they possibly see him losing in a very tight election? How could they possibly see that as anything other than that it was rigged against him? And that will equate to, we are disenfranchised, the system does not care about us, fuck your army, fuck your Marines, fuck your Air Force, your Air Farce. Like the character says in Born on the 4th of July. That's an obscure memory that I just got. Obscure cinephile memory. Tom Berenger's character in Born on the 4th of July. You can take your army, your Air Farce. He's talking shit about the other branches of the military when he's talking up the Marines to a bunch of impressionable high school kids. But yeah, so you know, their recruitment numbers are already way down. You need cannon fodder if you're going to go fight wars. If you're going to go, play this world police game, which seems to still be on the menu for our elites. If that's going to happen, you're not going to do it by rigging the election against Trump, because you do that, and more and more young men are just going to say, "Fuck this! I'm not joining your army. I'm not going to be cannon fodder for any of your wars." Whereas if Trump wins, quote unquote, then they might be stupid enough to turn around and say, "Yeah, well, I'm patriotic again," or "Yeah, I believe in my country now," because the Republicans in charge. It might have that effect. It will certainly mollify a lot of the anger that's out there right now on the right towards the system. So I think if Trump wins, it'll be the system, the people running the system have decided, okay, we've got to be prudent about this. We've got to, we can't piss these people off too much, because we're going to have, things are going to get really unstable if that happens. And, it's not going to work out well for us. But if Trump does, quote unquote, lose, then that will mean that the system has said, we want everything we're ready for America to fall apart. We let it happen. Let it happen. If they rig it that way, then it must fit into their plans for things to fall apart in this nation, because they're going to. I mean, I think they're going to, one way or the other. I'm not being black-pilled. I'm not saying evil will win out over good. I mean, maybe I'm sounding black-pilled about America's chances, because I think the chance of America surviving as a unified, as a country, indivisible with liberty and justice for all and all that jazz. I don't think that the chances of that are good in the near future. But when will that happen? When will it start to crumble? I mean, it's crumbling now. We all feel it crumbling now. But that crumbling is going to become a massive earthquake if she wins. But if they let her If they let her win, then that's gonna then that means the people who run the system are ready to just let it all fall down. Just watch the dominoes fall. Um, and you know, I think the system has so much more to lose by doing that. But they might just, number one, hate hate the people that they hate so much that they just want to give them a middle finger. But also they might just have plans. Because I don't think they see. I think they, of course, they don't like us. They don't really care about us, but they don't care about anyone else either. They don't care about the immigrants that they're letting in. They don't care about the people who run the system. They don't hate us specifically. They don't hate young white men specifically. They've made things so that that they've made white men and young white men, heterosexual white men, the scapegoat now. The ones who it's cool to pick on and make fun of and but does that mean that they love anybody else? If they loved the people of this country, they would want the country to have a strong defense, and they would know that young white men are needed for that. Forget about the cannon fodder thing. If we had rational, reasonable people running the country and not psychopathic warmongers who want full spectrum domination, then they would let's say that there are elites, but that they're good elites, right? They're the ones really running things, but they're good. They have good intentions. They mean well. I'm not saying they do, but just putting ourselves in that kind of world where that kind of system might be operative, then they would want. They would have done a lot of things differently than what they're doing now, but they would say, hey, okay, let's ease off these. Let's stop scapegoating this young white man. Let's stop scapegoating. Let's stop pushing the radical feminism quite so much and this LGBT stuff. Let's just hold off on and just rubbing it in the faces of people with more traditional practices and beliefs. Let's stop doing that so much. We still give freedom to LGBT. We still signify that we're with them and all that, but we can do that without at the same time saying, we hate you people who are normal. You can do that. You can actually do that. You can send a message to different factions of your society that you're cool with them, as long as you're law abiding. If you value harmony, national harmony, if you value the idea of one nation indivisible with liberty and justice for all, if that's really what you want, you would do a lot of things differently than what they're doing. Obviously, that's not what they want. But if they want to preserve the illusion that that's what they want a little bit longer, and maybe that's why we've seen some evidence of a modification of their radical eugenicist views. Like maybe somebody like Elon is like this mitigating force. Whether he actually has these beliefs or not, but just he's a a representation of the elites who are not just crazily, uh, just crazily perverse and homicidal, and want us all to live in pods and eat bugs and all that stuff. Um, you know, some people like Elon Musk and Jordan Peterson and other, more centrist types like that. They their continued existence is useful to placate or keep certain people in, from just saying fuck all this, fuck everything. I'm not going to cooperate. I'm done. I'm through. I don't have anything to lose, so I'm just gonna do something that I'm gonna strike a blow in some way or other. So anyway, I'm getting a little far afield. So that's what it means. I think if one side wins or the other side wins, if Trump is allowed to win, then it means they've decided they've decided, okay, things are getting a little out of hand. Let's try to make people, let's try to make the what used to be called the silent majority. I don't know what you would call them anymore, but just the sort of people who aren't radical, who aren't far right, or who aren't alt right, but who just feel completely alienated by things like drag queen story hour and other crazy perverted things that they're trying, some factions of the establishment are trying to push on everybody now. So the letting Trump win would be the prudent choice. Letting Trump lose would be saying, okay, we're ready for things to fall apart, and this is it. This is the first domino. Let's push it over, and let's let the dominoes. It's time for the rest of the dominoes to fall, and let's just watch it happen. And why they would want to do that, I don't know. They must have their reasons. But in any case, I think what I think keeps me being overly invested in the results, and what I think ought to keep you from being overly invested in the results, is that it's whatever it is, it's surely cosmetic, right? You want things to fall apart now, or close to now, or you want things to fall apart in a few years. Unless there's some major overhaul with the way things are, not just a cosmetic overhaul, then things are falling apart. It's just a question of how soon we get there. So, if you're watching this and somehow she won, or they say that she won, well, now you know they've decided to push that domino over, and we're going to watch the dominoes fall over the next few months and years, and I don't know exactly what form it'll take, but God help us. But God help us even if it's the other way, because if they allow him to win, then it just means they're being prudent, they're being practical, they're biding their time, because they still want to, they still want to invade Ukraine, or get involved, or invade Iran, or whatever, something like that. They still have these crazy notions in mind of what they want to do with the world, all over the world, and they know that they're not going to be able to do it if they lose if they lose young white men, and if they lose the loyalty and the investment of, you know, half of the country, or a good number of the country, let's just say. So that's where we are. Those are my thoughts on election stuff, and God bless us, everyone. That's where I'll end this video. And this is probably the last time I'll ever talk about this stuff. So if you if you enjoyed it, then go back and watch it all over again, because you're not going to hear me talk. More than likely, you're not going to hear me talk about this stuff again. All right.